You think you're a pretty rational person, right? You trust your own judgment. But what if I told you that every day your brain makes a series of hit mistakes on autopilot? And what if those mistakes are secretly running your life, quietly steering you toward decisions that lead to more stress, more regret, and that feeling that you're stuck in a loop you just can't see? It's not your fault. It's just how our brains are wired. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal 5 of the most common mental errors that might be sabotaging your decisions, and I'll show you how to start taking back control. See, our brains are incredibly powerful, but they're also incredibly efficient to handle the millions of bits of information we face every day. Our mind creates shortcuts, mental rules of thumb that help us make snap judgments. Psychologists call these cognitive biases. Think of them as your brain's default settings. They evolved to help our ancestors survive in a world of immediate physical threats. The problem is, those same life-saving shortcuts from thousands of years ago won't always serve us in the modern world of endless information and complex choices. These mental mistakes operate in the background, just below your conscious awareness, quietly shaping how you act and how you feel. They're like the invisible architects of so much of our daily anxiety and frustration. But here's the good news. You don't have to be run by them. The first and most powerful step is simply becoming aware of them. By the end of this video, you'll be able to spot 5 of these hidden errors in your own thinking, and you'll have the tools to start building a new level of mental clarity. The first mental mistake is one of the most common: confirmation bias. But simply, this is your brain's tendency to seek out, interpret, and remember information that confirms what you already believe. At the same time, you conveniently ignore, dismiss, or forget information that challenges your views. Why do we do this? Because our brains are fundamentally lazy. Challenging a core belief takes a ton of mental energy and can create a deeply uncomfortable feeling called cognitive dissonance. It's just easier to find proof that we were right all along. This is supercharged by the internet. Algorithms in our news feeds create filter bubbles that feed us exactly what we want to hear, trapping us in an echo chamber of our own opinions. Here's a classic, real-world example. Imagine you just spent a lot of money on a new car, say a Honda Accord. You want to feel good about your purchase, so you start looking up reviews. Subconsciously, your brain is on a mission. You click on every article praising the car's reliability and fuel efficiency. But when you stumble upon a negative review mentioning transmission issues, you dismiss it instantly. That driver probably doesn't know how to maintain a car, or this critic is clearly biased. You're not seeking truth. You're seeking validation. Neuroscience hints at why this happens under pressure. When we're stressed, our brain releases hormones like cortisol that push us to find certainty and find it fast. It, like your brain, becomes a detective who has already decided who the culprit is and is now just looking for evidence to close the case, ignoring anything that points to another suspect. So, how do you fight this? You have to deliberately play devil's advocate with yourself. The next time you're making an important decision, force yourself to find 3 solid arguments against your preferred choice. This simple habit builds mental flexibility and helps you break out of that self-validating loop, leading to far wiser decisions. The second mental mistake is overgeneralization. This is what happens when you take one single negative event and turn it into a universal rule for your life. It's the mental habit of using absolute words like always, never, everyone, or nobody based on very little evidence. Our brains are pattern-seeking machines, and that's usually a good thing. It helps us learn fast. But when we're stressed, that machinery goes into overdrive. It takes a single data point, one failed job interview, one awkward social interaction, and draws a sweeping, permanent conclusion from it. Think about a student who studies hard for an exam but gets a bad grade. Overgeneralization is the voice in their head that says, "I'm a failure. I'll never succeed in this. or consider someone whose date doesn't go well. They walk away thinking, I'm undateable. I'm always going to be alone. This isn't a rational conclusion. It's an emotional reflex that turns one specific incident into a lifelong identity. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because if you believe you'll always fail, you'll eventually stop trying. This cognitive error is a huge source of anxiety because it locks you into a negative worldview. Confirmation bias then jumps in to help you find evidence for this grim new rule while conveniently ignoring all the times you've succeeded in the past. The way to dismantle this is to become a detective of your own language. The moment you hear yourself think or say words like always or never, pause. Challenge that absolute. Instead of I always mess up presentations, get specific. This time, the presentation didn't go as well as I had hoped. By replacing global, permanent language with specific, temporary language, you give yourself room to breathe and room to improve. You reclaim the truth. One event is just one event, not a life sentence. Our third mental mistake is the negativity bias. Have you ever had a great day where 10 good things happened and one tiny bad thing happened? Yet, at the end of the day, all you can think about is that one negative event. That's the negativity bias. Your brain is wired to give more psychological weight to bad experiences than to good ones. Research suggests the brain reacts to negative information 2 to 5 times more intensely than it does to positive information. This isn't a design flaw. It's a survival feature. For our ancestors, failing to notice a pretty flower was a missed opportunity. Failing to notice a hungry lion was a fatal mistake. Their brains developed a better safe than sorry approach, constantly scanning for threats. As a result, negative things light up our brain's alarm system, the amygdala, far more dramatically than positive things do. In the modern world, this ancient wiring often causes more harm than good. You could get 20 emails praising your work, but you'll lose sleep over the one email with a single line of criticism. This can lead to chronic stress and anxiety, as your brain gets conditioned to hunt for the bad in every situation. You hit every green light on your way to work, and you barely notice. You hit one red light, and you feel a surge of frustration. That's the bias at work. The way to counter this is to consciously and deliberately focus on the good. It feels unnatural at first, but you can retrain your brain. One of the best techniques is keeping a 3 wins journal. At the end of each day, take 2 minutes to write down 3 things that went well, no matter how small. Did you enjoy your morning coffee? Did a coworker say something nice? Did you check off a task? By forcing your attention onto these positive events, you start to carve new neural pathways, balancing out your brain's default setting for negativity. The fourth mental mistake is as subtle as it is powerful: emotional reasoning. This is the error of assuming that your feelings are facts. The logic goes like this: I feel it, therefore it must be true. When we're in the grip of a strong emotion, our ability to think rationally can shrink. Our feelings can basically hijack our perception of reality. This is because intense emotions can sometimes bypass the logical part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, and generate conclusions all on their own. The feeling itself becomes the evidence. For example, someone might feel a surge of anxiety before a big presentation. Emotional reasoning turns that feeling into a verdict. I feel overwhelmed, therefore I am incompetent and I'm going to fail. The anxiety isn't seen as just a feeling. It's treated as a factual report on their abilities. Or think about an argument with a loved one. You might walk away feeling guilty. Emotional reasoning makes you conclude, I feel guilty, therefore I must be entirely in the wrong, instead of just acknowledging that guilt is a common feeling after a conflict. This mistake can be incredibly destructive because it creates vicious cycles. If you feel anxious and conclude you're incompetent, you'll probably perform poorly, which then proves your initial feeling was right. To break this cycle, you need to learn to see your feelings as passing weather, not the landscape itself. When you notice a strong emotion, practice labeling it. Instead of thinking, I'm a fraud, rephrase it in your mind as, I'm having the feeling that I'm a fraud. This small shift creates critical space between you and the emotion. Once you have that space, you can act like a real investigator and ask for the evidence. Okay, I feel incompetent. Where is the objective proof for that, outside of this feeling? More often than not, you'll find the evidence is pretty weak. Finally, our fifth mental mistake is the illusion of control. This is the tendency to overestimate our ability to influence events that are actually outside our control. It's the belief that we can somehow manage outcomes that are either random or up to other people. This bias comes from our deep need for security. The world is a chaotic place, and believing we have more control than we do gives us a comforting, though false, sense of agency. The brain even rewards us for it. Its perceiving control can trigger a release of dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter. You see this everywhere. Think of the micromanaging boss who works themselves to exhaustion, believing that if they just check every single detail, it can prevent all mistakes even those caused by a supplier delay. When that delay happens, anyway, they blame themselves, convinced they should have done more. Or consider the gambler who believes that if they stick to their lucky routine, they can influence the random spin of a roulette wheel. While a sense of control can be motivating, the illusion of control leads directly to frustration, anxiety, and self-blame. We burn a massive amount of mental energy trying to manage the unmanageable. The best way to combat this is to do a simple mental audit. When you're stressed about something, draw 3 circles. Okay? In the first circle, write down what you can directly control, like your own actions, your effort, your response. Okay? In the second, list the things you can influence but not control, like a coworker's opinion. In the third, list what you must simply accept, like the weather, the traffic, or the past. Now, consciously redirect all your energy to that first circle. Let go of the third. This exercise doesn't just reduce stress, it makes you far more effective by focusing your power where it actually makes a difference. So there you have it. Confirmation bias, overgeneralization, the negativity bias, emotional reasoning, and the illusion of control. These 5 mental mistakes aren't personal failings, they're universal features of the human mind, ancient shortcuts that can lead us astray in the modern world. You might recognize yourself in one of these, or maybe even all of them. It's a good thing. The goal isn't to eliminate these biases completely. That's pretty much impossible. The goal is awareness. Once you can see these patterns running in the background, they start to lose their power over you. You can question your automatic thoughts, challenge your emotional conclusions, and consciously choose a more rational path. Awareness is how you take back control of your mind. By learning to spot these mistakes, you stop being a passenger in your own head and start becoming the driver. If this helped you see your own mind a little more clearly, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe for more content on mastering your own psychology. And now, I have a question for you. Which of these mental mistakes do you notice most in your own life? Let me know in the comments below. You might be surprised how many people feel the same way, and reading through the comments is a powerful reminder that you're not alone in this. Thanks for watching.